In preparation for our facilitation review, Jane and I both wrote a reflection piece on our experiences running Seminar 3 prior to finding out that this was to be a joint project. Not wanting to waste our efforts, we have put our reviews into audio files embedded within this PowerPoint presentation. So please enjoy our presentation as we give you our reflections and our reviews of facilitating Seminar 3, Too Much Information. My name is Kris, and I will be doing part of the summary recap of our Seminar 3, Too Much Information. If you see a little speaker box, that means we have something to say, so please listen in on our thoughts and reflections on this week's seminar.
Hi, I am Jane C., and I'm the second half, or part, of the reflection for Seminar 3, Too Much Information.
In looking back on facilitating the third seminar of OLTD 503, I must admit right up front that I found it to be a bit of an overwhelming experience. Funny, seeing as our topic was too much information. For our seminar, Jane C. and I decided to create a Weebly site that would be our home base for the week, where we could outline information to be covered, summarize the readings we had asked our cohort to do, and try to elicit some discussion regarding how it felt to be overwhelmed, what causes us to get to that point, and how we cope with information overload in our own individual ways. In the end, we wanted to have students do 3 explicit tasks. 1. Post comments on our wall at wallwisher.com. 2. Create a blog post based on their own reflections about information overload. And 3. Complete a short survey that gave us feedback on the week that they had just experienced. In preparing for the week, both Jane and I felt that the key was not to overwhelm our peers with activities and readings. Having been together for just over 2 courses now, we figured that everyone could relate to the feeling of being overwhelmed by too much information. Many times we've been inundated with a variety of really cool tools or ideas, too many readings to keep up with, and numerous activities to complete. We even talked a little bit about the 39 unread messages reminders that pop up in our discussion forums and how they made us just want to avoid logging in the first place. So we intended to keep it fairly short, simple, and straightforward and not bog everyone down with a lot of information. We started by creating our Weebly site, Jane C. and Kris Seminar 3, weebly.com. This is where I started to feel overwhelmed. I was so busy adding pictures, information, cool links, and tips to the site and trying to be as thorough as possible so that it would be as easy as possible for my peers that I kind of stretched myself too thin. I fell behind in my week 2 discussion posts, got snappy with my family, and generally just stressed myself out. In order to make it a positive experience for others, I was overdoing it myself. Now I understand why many distance learning teachers start out just maintaining a pre-made course before moving to tweaking them to their own way of teaching things. It was a lot of work building it from the ground up. Regardless of the amount of work that both Jane and I put into our website, I am very proud of how it ended up turning out. So proud, in fact, that I've already added it to my e-portfolio. I think it looked good, had a great flow of information, and served our purpose of providing the information we needed to get across without being overwhelming. This was supported by one of our survey responses, which read, "The Weebly you used to present your week was informative, eye-catching both in the colors chosen and the cartoons. Videos were informative, workload was just right." Our seminar started with a lighthearted icebreaker video and went on to include 2 other videos that provided thoughts on what information overload is and how it affects the decision-making process, and information consumption, which suggested making wise choices as to what we read or watch online. We also included some fun cartoons, tips to reduce stress, and a link to our Wallwisher site that asked students to comment specifically on information overload and tricks they employ to avoid becoming overwhelmed. My favorite part of of the Weebly site was the homework section located at the end of the seminar. It read, "Thank you for sharing this journey with us. Now here's the real homework for the week. Go outside, take a walk, talk with your family, sit in the sun if you can find it. Have a cup of tea and relax. Breathe. You've worked hard and you deserve a break. Cheers." When all is said and done, I think that it's important to find balance in our lives and be able to step away from the computer screen, if only for a short break. This belief has only been cemented through my experience building this website and co-facilitating this seminar. Throughout the week, Jane and I kept in touch with our students via email. Our first email, copied in D2L, was a welcome message to our peers, inviting them to our website that would take them step by step through our seminar week. This started a few long days of waiting. After all the work we had done building the website, it was like sending your child to their first day of kindergarten. There I was, waiting for input and feedback. Don't you know my kid can already sing his ABCs? And it didn't come. I found myself checking into the wall and rechecking the links to the website to make sure everything was working, but no one was posting anything online. After a few tentative messages back and forth between Jane and I, we sent a second email, our gentle nudge email, to get things going, and after that, things did indeed start to roll. I think it was just us being a little anxious. One day, one person had posted on our wall, the next another had added their thoughts. After about 3 or 4 days, the wall was full, and I was busy trying to figure out how to make it bigger. After my initial apprehension that it wouldn't be good enough, positive feedback and input started coming in, and I finally breathed out all my worries. From this, I learned to be patient. Asynchronous courses allow people to work at their own pace and in their own time, and that doesn't always match the instructor's perceived timeline. We got some great posts on people's blogs, making deep insights into what their own personal experiences were with being overwhelmed, and some cool ideas on how to maintain that ever-important balance. For instance, I loved Ben's idea of the daily photo journal to document his time in OLTD. What a memorable journey for him. Jane and I took turns responding to our wall and to blog posts to ensure that everyone got a thoughtful response to their work. On Thursday night, I posted a closing email to thank everyone for their participation and input and provide them with a link to our survey. Jane then posted a summary of the week on Saturday with some comments that people had made. I posted one final email relating to an article that Jane J. had forwarded to me. Attached was a letter to the editor of the Times Colonist about the huge number of email responses, mostly with trivial information, that the writer had received in response to an introductory activity for a MOOC. Talk about information overload. It was so relevant to our week, I just had to share it. Only 4 people responded to our survey that we sent out, which was a little disappointing, but in the end we received some really positive responses. You guys did a fantastic job. Love that you tried something new. Love, love, love that it didn't add to information overload. Thanks so much. Was probably our best response, though I also appreciated. Loved the organization of the Weebly site as well as the videos and readings. I find visuals and multimedia engage me as a learner. We put a lot of time and effort into the site, and I appreciated that it was recognized by our peers and that the site did its job of informing them while not overwhelming them. Though I felt somewhat isolated in facilitating the seminar, others felt some sense of community as you sent regular check-ins and the wall helped me feel connected. This also speaks to our intent of keeping people in the loop while staying on the sidelines as supporters, not in-your-face enforcers. Overall, I would say that this was a really positive experience for me as a learner. I am a face-to-face teacher and have no prior experience facilitating online learning. Jane also teaches face-to-face and has similar online experience. We found that by using Skype and email, we were able to connect many times and enjoyed pulling together this effective seminar. Through this process, I've learned that I need to tone it down on my end and not overwhelm myself in an attempt to get the course materials across to my students. In the end, it was an overwhelmingly positive week in that our goals of the seminar being well laid out, informative while not overwhelming, and maybe a bit of a respite from our regular busy schedules of coursework were all achieved and well received by both our peers and our instructor. I think Jane and I presented a well-thought-out seminar, supported student needs as they arose, and had a fun and informative experience in the process.
Kris did such an amazing job in the first part of our PowerPoint discussing the details of our seminar that I will try not to repeat what she has already stated. As I ponder the process of facilitating our Seminar 3, Too Much Information, there are a few key elements of the activity I found to be particularly poignant. I found that I loved collaborating with a great partner. I felt great satisfaction in the results of the seminar, and I have gained a healthy respect for the amount of work and analysis that goes into the development of a coherent and rich experience in which others are to be engaged, but, as Kris mentions, to not overload our students. It was heartening to find, from the comments of other students, that the information we supplied was helpful. A lot of comments referred to how helpful organizing their emails into files and using filtering systems helped them to keep on top of the ongoing onslaught of emails. Wow, such a simple thing, which had been there right along, of which I had paid no attention. Well, now I am paying attention and utilizing the email files very effectively. As I was researching appropriate support material to include in our seminar, I found that what I thought was going to be a fairly easy job turned into being a daunting task. How apropos that I was getting overwhelmed with the amount of time it took to find the perfect information. I found that after hours of non-stop searching, I was losing my direction. I shudder to think of the wasted time because I pushed myself to continue when I clearly should have taken a break to refocus. Unfortunately, we can't always choose when to do our coursework, given the restrictions of family and work obligations. We do it when we can, even sometimes at the expense of overloading our brains, which doesn't help with absorption of material. However, during the course of this seminar work, I found it reassuring to know that Kris was feeling the pinch as well. I realized that I wasn't going crazy after all. As I was researching appropriate support material to include in our seminar, I found that what I thought was going to be a fairly easy job turned into being a daunting task. How apropos that I was getting overwhelmed with the amount of time it took to find the perfect information. I found that after hours of non-stop searching, I was losing my direction. I shudder to think of the wasted time because I pushed myself to continue when I clearly should have taken a break to refocus. The restrictions of work and family obligation. Kris and I definitely achieved the development stage of Salmon's 5-step model of teaching and learning, KEER 2000, with not only our own partnership, but with the students as well. Kris and I already were at stage 2 before we met for this assignment. We were quick to share our information and ideas through Skype. We then worked on our parts of the project and succeeded in developing our online seminar. I feel that we also brought the students through to the development stage as they were engaged with the information we supplied, and they were also able to supply the rest of us with valuable information regarding the topic. The students were able to write comments or wishes on the wall wisher, which enabled them and us to respond and provide additional links and ideas that went beyond what was provided. As Kris mentioned earlier, we found ways to try not to overload our students by trying to keep the learning items short and trying different ways to post comments and ideas. hence the wall wisher. Great idea, Kris. I think this worked really well. Also, working asynchronously was beneficial for this seminar because we felt that to add to the work stress by having everyone meet at a particular time would defeat the purpose of this seminar. Would I have done this seminar this way at the very beginning of the OLTD program? Probably not. We, as a cohort, would probably not have been at this stage of sharing as intimately as we did during the seminar. Again, reference to Salmon's 5-step model. In closing, I feel that Kris and I worked very well together, and it has been my pleasure to work with someone so creative and easy to work with. Thanks, Kris, for all your hard work.